It's the same old story. It's been a long day at the job, or maybe it's just starting to feel long, and you feel that urge to stretch your legs and get a little bit of a break. You walk down the street, or maybe you get behind the wheel of your car, and you feel the weight begin to lift. You walk through the doors, and the sound of the place starts to clear the air. You get a table, you order your drink, you listen to the sounds of the bar, and soak in the conversation. Welcome to the TNE Speakeasy with your hosts, Caleb and Isaac. Join your hosts as they close out the year with their 2023 New Year's Special.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, those in between, to the end of 2023. It is the eve of the Gregorian New Year, and, well, as per tradition, I suppose, we're gonna just ramble on and discuss our thoughts personally about this year. So, Caleb, how are you doing currently?
This evening I'm doing mostly okay. I feel like my go-to this year has just been getting by, and that's where I've been pretty much the whole year. We'll discuss our year in podcasting, our year in movies or books or whatever media. But my year in my personal life has been hectic and horrible. So, so that's too bad.
Yeah, no, that definitely is a shame. For me, I think it's been a mix, but honestly, I honestly feel like I'm happy that it's kind of turned out positive, I think, and this has been a year of change for me. I feel like I started off the year very angry. I feel like I'm always angry. That's, Isaac, you're always angry, like, true. But this year, I feel like I've made an effort to really change, especially after I got laid off from my job, because I was very miserable there and didn't want to be there, and it reflected my attitude and my work ethic. And I kind of, got what was coming to me. Like, saying you don't want to be there, and while not being late, just arriving on time. It's I believe in the, even though I don't practice what I preach. I believe in the whole, if you're 10 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late mentality. I know you probably hate that sort of mentality. Fair enough. It's very old school, but I definitely reflected that, and I do that still nowadays with when it comes to recording stuff. So it seems like that.
Yeah.
So time management and just I got it's Mr. Incredible's. Yeah, I got time, and he's clearly late for his wedding. It's literally that. But that reflected in, I guess, getting what I deserved, and I dealt with consequences of just getting laid off and not being having a job for a few months. I kind of honestly I deserve it. I was reckless and foolish and kind of full of myself, really stupid. So I'm glad that this year, towards the end of this year, fourth quarter has really been humbling, and it doesn't mean that I'm fully humbled, but definitely I was taken down a notch. It's not like I do that all the time, but this year, like, I'm not coming in all mopey like, oh, woe's me, world's teeniest violin, but like, no, at the end I'm kind of happy. Like, personally, I'm aware that the world's gone to well, it's always been crap.
Yeah,
humans being humans, but because you'll get somebody saying, "Oh, this year was terrible," but nothing like obviously some stuff happened that was bad, but you always get that everywhere. It's like, this year was terrible when somebody does a list or something like that. It's like you say that every year. Like, what is a year not terrible? So apologies for me from going on this year. How would you like to start this whole thing off? Sorry if I've been rambling for a bit. Where would you like to go in this direction?
Well, I guess we might as well start with how we think our year in podcasting's done, because I feel like we've actually, we've gone around the moon. We've done a ton of stuff this year. I'm sure many of it, the listeners at this point, haven't heard it, but we've also returned to some series that we've been meaning to get to for a long time. And overall, I'm feeling pretty excited and happy about what we've done, and especially finishing up Avatar: The Last Airbender on our Bending the Elements feed. Wow, that feels big.
I, yeah, no, it definitely feels. I won't say surreal, but it's like wow. I mean, I should say both of us, but like I'm just surprised we accomplished it, man. Like we did it. We set out to do as you said, and we finished the series. Yeah, it's gonna be weird going forward, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm really gonna miss talking about that series. I know it didn't hit me in the moment, but yeah, just like it's gonna make me go back and listen to our recordings and be like, oh wow, there's a lot of like for the time capsule, and it's like wow, this is I'm dating myself, but yeah, no, it's well, it'll definitely I definitely need to hear and maybe not hear, but I definitely yeah going forward will be interesting to see how we do with other series.
Yeah, and like I said, and it wasn't until we did our book three overview, I'd never gone back to listen to any of our prior episodes except for the book one and two overviews. I listened to those. When we did the book two overview, I went back and listened to that, and then when we did book three, I went back and listened to those two. But then I was like, oh, I really don't know this podcast at all. I edited the episodes, but like I've mentioned before, after I edit an episode, once it's published, it's like my brain's like, okay, that can finally be cleared out, and I completely lose the episode. I don't remember it at all. So that's why I try to go back 6 months later so I could be like, okay, what the hell did we say on that episode? So yeah, it's been weird going back to those Avatar ones. It feels like it was so long ago now.
And even though we did a series overview, I guess I'll just say it as well. I definitely dropped the ball on that whole what is it? Was it Lightning Bolt Zolt Senior or whatever it is? Back in book one, I meant to bring that throughout the rest of the series, but I completely forgot about that. So whoops, that was a faux pas on my part. But that'll definitely for I guess inside baseball, that'll be definitely returning, and I'll try to return that back into what was it now? Back in Legend of Korra. Trying to get that in there, but we'll definitely see.
Yeah, and I want just to cut back to the Novice Leadus feed a little bit. I did want to thank you for the pushing us, even though I was hesitant and I was like, oh man, we just got out of a big series with James Cameron. Doing that Fast and the Furious series, I thought was so fun. I really enjoyed the kind of quick pace of us getting to them, because I'm sure anyone who's listened to this podcast for a while knows that we tend to spread out our entries by a long time.
Yes.
So having that time crunch, being forced to kind of live in the Fast and Furious world for however long we did it, maybe like 3 months or so. Yeah, that was it was a fun time. I'm looking forward to jumping into another series like that, hopefully at some point.
And I mean, I was doing the whole like riding the coattails of it being like lead up and build up towards the next one. So I'm like, this is our time, man. We got to do this. And well, really probably didn't need to. It was probably not the best. Hopefully, it wasn't a danger to your psyche, because I can understand it was kind of a commitment as well, and having to see the poorly written characters, over and over again, like regress almost, like I guess we'll at least. I mean, I'm still saying like, yeah, the first two are the best. Like, all you gotta do is like watch. Like the first one's I guess the best. Second one is a little bit like lighter than the first, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. And the rest, other than like maybe five, yeah, you can skip them or watch them if you just enjoy it.
Yeah, but even if the movies weren't that great, I still had a lot of fun talking about them with you. I think that was. Yeah, I hope the listeners enjoyed that series because I definitely enjoyed going through it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to go over numbers because I'm really not into that stuff. I couldn't care less.
Yeah, although I will say this year has been our most successful year for the podcast by a lot. We listenership definitely took a giant jump this year, but, but yeah, we won't dwell too much on that. But yeah, is there any standout series we've returned to this year, or particular movies that we covered that you were really happy to get to?
Well, I was definitely, I don't want to say proud, but I'm at least pleased, and I stand by our 200th episode, which was this year, and
Hmm.
who knows, number 300 may come this time next year. Like given the amount of episodes we put in, it's I wouldn't be surprised if number 300's like closer than we think.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah, today we did episode 255.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah, so it's coming.
Oh me, oh my, that's coming sooner than I thought. But yeah, Prince of Egypt, as number 200, I'm a lot more, um, I'm happy with. I'm happy with how it turned out, and I accept it. So I'm glad we got to 200. I feel more respectful than I did with the Iron Giant, but I'm happy that one came out.
Oh, by the way, did you ever go back and listen to that Iron Giant episode?
Nope, still haven't.
Oh, man.
Can't, man. I just can't. Like I said, I canceled myself before I started using this microphone. Everything in person was just like me being completely full of myself and just downright disrespectful
Well,
and unprofessional. And I mean, not that I haven't been
oh no.
unprofessional like since then and while recording, from home, but just yeah, I sound vile and ignorant and just repugnant.
I don't know about that.
I had a go okay day today, by the way, folks. It's okay. Like I'm pretty good right now.
Yeah, well, I'll say I hope one day you'll return to that Iron Giant episode and yeah, tell me what you think, because yeah, I don't think it's as bad as all that.
Well, yeah, that's what you think.
But yeah, I guess another series that I'm very glad that you also spearheaded rejuvenating. And again, listeners have not heard much of it yet, but that's our ultraviolet A-rated basement series. We've been meaning to get back to that for a long time at this point, and it just took you finally being like, okay, I'm pulling one out. That we've been kickstarted again, and yeah, that's been a ton of fun. So thank you again for that as well.
Hey man, you're welcome. I said I don't I was gonna okay, so I don't know if you sent me a message or whatever, but I remember you were editing one of the speakeasies from last year, and you said, "Oh man, like here's how much we've changed or whatever," and you were like, "Yeah, it was either the 2022 year-end speakeasy or it was just another one." It's like, "Oh man, what can we do for like 2023?" And you were like, I don't remember what you said that you wanted to bring back, but I know I said I was like, I want to bring back the ultraviolet A-rated basement. And there was I don't remember what you said, but whatever it was, like we did technically accomplish that.
Yep, 100%, and it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait for listeners to hear some of those episodes because some of that stuff it's pretty fun.
I don't. I don't know if I want to keep. I don't know, and make people anticipate for the amount of content like OVAs coming their way. I'm trying to. I think I am a little bit I think the cat's out of the bag on that one, but yeah, you we are committing to that, and I want to continue on with that in 2024. Cause and you know something, I was thinking about this today. I'm like, the ultraviolet A-rated basement doesn't necessarily have to be animations restricted.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay.
If you know what if you catch my drift.
Like home video, gore pictures or action pictures, a lot of violence.
I didn't necessarily in the title itself. I never did restrict it to animation, did I? I just said ultra-violent. Though that obviously is me trying to broken in a stupid way, trying to fit ultra in there
Yeah,
without with an O, A
yeah, for the
rated.
OVA.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but A rated in that it's got to be something very vile and repugnant and really makes you crawl. And A rated basement, obviously, because this is where you would watch it in the setting, of course. So it's I never did restrict it to anything outside of animation. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, and I'll say one of the things that I'm proud of this year in terms of the podcast, and I am positive that I'm not going to be able to do it next year, was just plowing through that gigantic backlog of bonus episodes
oh,
that had been
good
building for so
grief.
long, to the point that I was able to, in about 2 months, edit enough episodes that I could put out one for almost the entire year, every Friday. Because I was like, okay, I'm gonna just dedicate this month, and the only thing I'm editing is these fucking bonus episodes, and I'm gonna plow through this backlog. And I did like maybe 30 or over 30 of them at that time. And so it's been funny with them coming out. I'll see them release. I'll be like, oh, I don't remember what we said on that episode. I don't remember anything about that at all. But unfortunately, now I've run dry, and I have to start working on the current backlog that I have. But that's, yeah, not on the cards currently. So
So, by what month do you think 2023's speakeasies will they finally run dry and finish?
I think there's maybe 8 or 9 of them currently that are sitting there. So yeah, that wouldn't take too long to plow through. If I was putting them out every week.
And not to go inside baseball on people, but I did make a. As soon as he said like, "Ah, we got too many," like or we, sure, we're not overloaded with speakeasies. I was like, okay, we're gonna stop trying to do speakeasies because I don't want to overload this guy again, just like last year. So it's like, all right, we'll try. It's like, all right, maybe we need to stop having backlog stuff because even though that's good for us, it can also be a detriment in the end.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun doing them, and I definitely want to get back to. Well, we've actually done quite a few lately, so I'm fine keeping up the current pace of, yeah, maybe not every episode having an hour of bonus material that we record.
I think one thing you'll appreciate as well this year is even though we've been doing it, we broke our code, not code, but we broke our streak, I suppose, even though there was no streak, but I guess it was there. Is that we kind of ventured, not to maybe spoil, this will definitely be spoilers for some people, but we kind of ventured outside of DC Comics.
Yep, yep. With yeah, our comic book reading, we've done a couple of comics this year, not as many as I would have liked to get in. I was hoping to do a little bit more, but what we've done, I think it's been a lot of fun and some cool stuff to come.
Yeah, what I can say for next year is we're gonna. Well, I say next year, but I think the focus is once again to straight. Like I think whatever we added this year, like each year, this is a thing. We're gonna streamline. We are going to streamline the ever living crap out of. As Apple does with their iPhones every single stinking year. We're just gonna streamline and try to hone in on certain series. I'm not saying to finish or anything like that, but at least to give people a flavor of. Even though we go all over the place, it's like let's try and streamline these things.
Yeah, and by the way, I am hoping we can finally finish our Superman retrospective next year.
That's what I was thinking of
Yeah.
because fingers crossed we can finish Batman next year, and that's maybe too
Oh, I
much. I
doubt
think
it.
I'm asking too much, so knock on wood for that.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we really have anything currently planned big for next year, but should we do the little speculation we did last time and see if we succeed on it?
Uh,
I guess we have our silent film retrospective that we've been promising since 2021. Should probably do that.
well, I guess my expectation, but here's my thing of like, how do you think by Oscar season the not to get into real world stuff here because it's never
Mm.
the best thing that we were good at talking about, but like, do you think the actors strike will continue on and maybe end by the Oscars?
Oh, I thought they finished that.
Oh, so the status quo remains.
Status quo. What do you mean?
Just sorry, yeah, the status quo in that this vicious cycle of Hollywood will continue to exist.
Did you think the strikes were going to destroy Hollywood?
I was hoping for it to collapse, but I guess not.
Well, if it collapsed, a lot of people will be out of work. I mean, that's not so great.
Oh, that's definitely true, and that's rude of me to say, but at least films would continue to exist, and quality may actually like once again reign.
Well, there's always going to be lots of junk, even in the world of independent cinema, even in the world of the non-Hollywood systems. There's always lots of junk being produced. Just a lot of people aren't seeing it.
Hey Isaac, guess what? There are other films that exist outside of blockbusters and $200 million. Wow, how ignorant of me.
Yeah, I go to the movie theater every week, and frequently I see a lot of great films. And I guess that can kind of spiral into yeah, films we saw this year. I feel like. Do you feel like you saw more this year in the theater than you saw last year? Because I remember last year you were saying that you were feeling a bit down about not going to the theater as much.
I do remember that. I I don't. Maybe I did. Maybe I don't. I guess I could get my booklet out of the drawer. But so I made another stupid claim of, oh, we gotta bring to light and discussion. This is it's our job to, well, maybe it's your job really, because you see these films all the time, to recommend to the listeners films to see. I said that on one of the speakeasies we did this year. I don't remember which one it was. I just re-listened to it recently, and hey, Caleb, recommend any indie and or really smaller or what releases that people didn't get to see and you recommend to them.
I don't know if I think it might still be in the theater, but Saltburn from the same guy who directed Promising Young Woman back in 2019. I can't remember his name, but Saltburn is this somewhat of a gothic kind of character study. Some really really great different kind of stuff in that movie. It looks beautiful. There's this wonderful dance scene in it that I'm not going to spoil. That it's just so good. And oh, by the way, it's British. And yeah, I think it was not independent, but definitely one of those kind of not Hollywood releases. And I would definitely recommend people go check out Saltburn. And it starred the same guy who played Elvis recently in the Priscilla movie by Sofia Coppola. And Priscilla I'd also give a recommend to. But thinking about movies I saw in the theater this year, I mean, of course, we talked about Jawan, which was a fantastic movie this year. I had so much fun with that, and I would definitely
Still thinking of it to this day. I'm still thinking of it to now. Like it's not like I'm. It's left an impact on me.
absolutely, and I would definitely also recommend that to anybody who is interested in Bollywood films or just wants to see a really fun kind of action movie. That one is definitely one to check out. But other movies I saw this year, I'm trying to think. I know there was a number of good ones that I saw, and a couple bad ones. Of course, we did see Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I saw that 65 movie. Do you remember that one?
Was that this? Okay, see that was the thing. Was that this year or was that last year?
65. I'm pretty sure was a January release this year.
Okay, well that makes sense. No, I didn't see it. Just for the, I guess, the B movie plot of it, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
It was kind of fun garbage. I enjoy dinosaur movies and sci-fi movies, so that was fun. Of course, everyone saw Barbie and Oppenheimer, so I don't need to recommend those, but those were definitely some standouts. For horror, I saw this movie called Talk to Me. I believe it was Australian or something like that, and it was actually directed by two YouTubers. Did you hear much about that one?
I remember the Red Letter Media buds were talking about that one.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I would definitely give that a strong recommend. I think that was for a 2023 horror movie. That's one of the probably the biggest standouts for this year that I can think of. That at least went to the theaters. Hmm, just trying to think. Oh, one of the movies that I think was the strongest this year, another Bollywood movie, was called Rocky and Ronnie's Love Story. Came out summer release. I think it came out maybe a couple weeks after Barbie. And that movie, I do think it's one of the strongest movies this year. It's so fun. I wish that people would have seen it, but like most Bollywood movies, they just didn't really give it. I don't think they think that there's any interest outside of like Indian movie viewers, and so they never advertise their movies outside of unless you're going to see an Indian movie or Bollywood movie. But I wish they would have advertised that. I think if people would have seen it, they would have really, really liked it. Such a strong romance, great chemistry. They did this thing where the characters were kind of opposites. One of them was like a news anchor who was kind of more woke, you would say, very politically aware and strongly opinionated. And she fell in love with this kind of vapid rich boy who was kind of like you could say a man child, but in a more innocent way. Like he was just didn't really know what the world was because he was so busy living in his bubble, which was just the gym, and him thinking himself is so cool, being obsessed with style. And so it was a fun clash of their relationship, and it was especially cute because the way that they paired up is the boy's grandpa was depressed and was kind of going like senile, and is his what's the grandchild? What's that one called again? I guess grandkid. He was all sad and was like, okay, I want to find the spark to bring vigor back into my grandpa who I love. And he discovered about this old romance, this old fling, and so he tried to pair them up. And so he kind of had like a dual relationship with the two grandkids falling in love, and then the two uh, grandparents reigniting their love. So that was really sweet. And there was this whole kind of interfamily dynamic going on with the parents, and it was just an excellent romance. So I would highly recommend that. Still there, or did I lose you?
No, no, no. I'm still here. Don't worry. Relax. Not having that. Well,
Okay.
that brings the other problem that's happened this year for us is internet issues in the fourth quarter.
Oh yes, yeah. Me and Isaac, unfortunately, this year, it's only been I think after the summer. We've had tons and tons of internet problems, and it's made for some awkward podcasting here or there.
Awkward, you say?
Yeah, lots of repeating, lots of frustrations, and yeah, definitely a shame.
Me storming off in a fit of rage, and people thinking that I'm okay.
Yeah, that's maybe happened. Yeah, once or twice, or yeah, yeah. There's one more smaller movie. I did see quite a few of them. Some of them I can't remember right now. But one of the ones that really stood out for me, I thought it was again one of the best of the year, was this. I can't remember who directed it. It was called Past Lives, and it was about South Korean woman who moved to the U.S. At around like maybe 8 or 9 years old, and she had just started this fling with a boy in her class, but they got separated for years and then met again on the internet, and kind of started to have a little bit of a reigniting of their fling in their college years. But then for various reasons they got separated again, and she ended up getting married, and he connected with her again and was like, hey, I'm coming to your city, New York. Like, can I see you while I'm there? Like, can you show me the city? And it was a really complicated and really beautiful romance story. And she was married, I think I mentioned that. And so her husband was there, and it created this kind of awkward, sad, but also really mature dynamic. And I just think it's one of the more smarter written movies of this year, and definitely one that I think fell under people's radars. But I've been hoping that when Oscar season came around, that maybe it would get a little bit more buzz, because I feel like it is a movie that should be nominated for either best picture or best screenplay. I definitely think that one should be in the running. So check it out if you missed it.
I guess for me, here's an accomplishment. This is really small, but I finally saw Castle in the Sky in theaters, which I had never seen before in theaters because every time I tried, I always never like always something always came up. So that was an accomplishment there.
Yeah, was I there with you for that? Did we go see that one together?
Yep, I believe so. I could be wrong on that, but I think I tried to go to that one.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. No, that was fun. That was really fun. Yeah, it was sad we couldn't catch more of those Miyazaki movies that they played this year.
Well, at this point, they're gonna do it, release it yearly. So Ghibli Fest is always
Yeah.
it seems to be an annual thing. So, or yearly thing, whichever one it is. So honestly, like I'm not too worried about it. Um, should be okay. We'll catch it next year. My only big gripe, of course, is that they obviously pardon me for saying, but I don't know who's in control of this. G Kids, I don't know what the problem is, but I don't know why they haven't played Porco Rosso in theaters yet. But man, maybe they do in some person's theater. But like, man, I'm a little bit annoyed by that.
Yep. I'd love to see that in the theater. Abso-fucking-lutely.
I think if I had to recommend a film this year to people, like maybe to check out. I mean, again, it's not anything international or foreign or well thought out because like I said it was very straightforward and I talked about this in the review. I don't know if you've released it yet at this point, but definitely what was it the film Gran Turismo. That one surprised me.
Hmm.
That one surprised me how honest it was. Like it was very straightforward, but at least the relationship between the protagonist and David Harbour's character, again, I found very strong. And yeah, just I don't know, I enjoyed that one. So I definitely want to give that one a shout out. And while we're mixed, maybe I'm a little bit more negative again. Um, maybe I'm thinking a little bit more negatively of it. Well, I don't fully know yet. It was at least, I guess, an accomplishment that the Super Mario Brothers movie came out this year.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'd be curious to go back to that. I hopefully we can cover it sometime soon. Cause yeah, I would like to revisit that again.
Oh, that's gonna happen. It will, like, we'll definitely be doing a recording or a discussion of it at some point down the line. But I guess that just in like terms of video games, it's like, yeah, I guess that happened. And we, hey, saw the release finally of the Flash, and yeah, that came out finally.
That's true. That's yeah.
Eh,
I think we were both mostly positive. I feel like my memories are starting to shade more poorly, but I remember being positive.
yeah, it's weird how initially I come away. Some people may think I'm putting on an act when it's like, oh, you're just saying like all this positive stuff about DC just to spite Marvel. It's like genuinely, I like sometimes like these films coming out of the gate, and everybody else hates them, like all these DC ones. So it's just like I don't know, like I don't want to call myself a DC fanboy, but it's like I don't know. I just there's parts that I do like about them and parts that I don't like. So I'm like, I'm okay with them.
Yeah, and to be fair, when you were watching the Marvel movies, it's not like you came out of the majority of them negative. In fact, I think most of them you came out of them positive at the time. And you just haven't seen them for a long time. You've been seeing more DC stuff. So
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
were seeing the current Marvel batch, you might feel the same way.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like the only one that I really wasn't having wasn't pleased. Well, yeah, there was obviously ones I wasn't pleased with, which was like Guardians of the Galaxy, and Black Panther as well left a disappointing taste in my mouth there. Um, but yeah, I mean, all of them were I either enjoy. Well, I think Winter Soldier is still the best, but either I enjoy the big ones or big and small. Yeah, I gotta shake my head.
And I'll say, so this year I picked up the Snyder Cut on 4K. I wanted to revisit that, and I wanted to watch it in a more premiere format because unfortunately, all the HBO stuff or the HBO Max stuff that we get here goes to the Crave streaming service, and I find that streaming service to be such a piss off because I think they claim that they do 180p HD standard, but I swear it's 70 or fuck, I swear it's 720p. It just looks pixely. The colors look blown out and weird, and that fucking app it pissed me off. So whenever Crave gets stuff, I always end up just if I want to watch it, I'll just buy it instead of watching it on there. And so I was watching the Snyder Cut, and I've got my issues with it, but overall I think it's a pretty damn solid superhero movie in the modern era. Again, way too long, but otherwise solid. And so just a few weeks ago, I was like, I always heard people say that Batman v Superman's better in the Ultimate Edition, and that extra 30 minutes that they added just fixes a lot of the problems with the movie, and it's a much more fulfilling journey. So I picked that up, and I watched that about maybe 4 or 5 days ago. Have you revisited that since the theater?
I keep meaning to, but haven't. I've decided not to recently. So at some point, I'll just like, all right, I'll do it, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, your feelings are still pretty hot towards it, or just don't care.
Well, I want to do the whole, I guess, Zack Snyder trilogy of Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League, because he's there's a thing like he's got a through line. He's beginning with Superman, he's ending with the Justice League. Like there's a trilogy in somewhere in there, right?
Uh, I don't know. There's vague tendrils of a trilogy, but nothing cohesive. Even Superman feels, in my opinion, like a different character from BVS and in Man of Steel, and then to the Justice League movie too. I feel like he was constantly retooling what he wanted to do with that character because I feel like he did not understand the character at all, and so would constantly have different points of view for him. At least that's my opinion. Maybe Zack Snyder fans for his DC stuff, maybe they have a more nuanced opinion. But I tried to sit through that goddamn Batman v Superman in the 3 hour version. I did not think it came out any better. It's one of the few movies that I've fallen asleep in the theater because I found that original one so boring and so terrible. And this extended cut, I mean, 3 hours long for that, it was just self indulgent. The Lex Luthor, I just can't even believe that that's what they did with that character. It feels like a just completely wrong take and like pointless take. And just like you still haven't seen the Snyder cut of Justice League, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll spoil and not spoil. That movie features a very extended epilogue. It's like the movie ends and there's maybe like 40 minutes left that's just kind of wrapping everything up. It turns out that he did the exact same thing with this Ultimate Edition. And just like in the Snyder cut where it starts to feel like, okay, all this epilogue doesn't feel like it was actually part of the movie before. It feels like stuff that he came in and retooled later, kind of like George Lucas. It was like, oh, I feel like I want to put this in there. I want to put this in there. And it makes the ending of the Justice League Snyder cut just feel protracted and kind of awkward. Similar thing here, and I was like, why is this even in the movie? This doesn't feel like at all like it's part of this feature film. Why did he just insert this in here? So I'm very confused by the people that claim that the Ultimate Edition is the a superior cut. I mean, maybe I just need to go back and see how terrible the original cut was, but yeah, I would give it a strong not recommend. And I paid the $25 to get that on UHD as well, and I regret it.
How did it look visually?
I mean, it was definitely sharp. It definitely looked okay, but Zack Snyder kind of likes to have a muddy kind of vision to his movies at times, and so this one, yeah, it was too dark at times, and yeah, just kind of weird, over polished, and at times muddy looking cinematography. I don't know how to fully describe it, but it was weird.
Well, I'm sure there are fans of his science fiction or science fantasy space odyssey or space opera epic that just came out on Netflix.
Oh, is that out now? Oh shit.
Yep, that's out now.
Well, I definitely will watch that. Rebel Moon.
Yeah, yeah, very intense, or at least very detailed stuff from what I hear about the synopsis of it, not the whole review, but just like the synopsis I heard from Captain Logan during one of, I guess, the trailers or whatever the announcement was. It's like, wow. Once again, like the creator, was this like a previous IP somebody came up with, or
Yeah, I'm curious for you. What's your year been in media? Have you been just checking out stuff for the podcast, where there's stuff that you were getting into on your own time, or books or comics or movies or series?
no? Mostly, I just checked out stuff. I was a little bit more in more, I guess, the former of just checking out things a on the podcast basis. So fortunately, it was for work purposes rather than experimenting and going out and looking for stuff. I admit I've kind of neglected that, but I intend to do that. I was like, you know what? No, that's where I'm gonna not do that. So yeah, I made that decision, and it won't be forever, of course. But just at this point in my life, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna. I have something I'm trying to do now. So I'll be. Yeah, I'm not, this does not mean I'm like lessening myself on the podcast. It's just like I'm just not experimenting as much, which is kind of ignorant.
No, it's whatever you want to do to fill your time. What have you been filling your time with mostly in 2023?
Genshin Impact.
Oh, okay. Nice.
No, not nice at all.
By the way, I've got a speakeasy coming out soon with you talking about that. So
Oh,
there's still a couple on the way.
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how's that been? It sounds like you've been regretting some of the time spent with Genshin
Oh
Impact.
yeah, I regret it. It's yeah, start of this year I mentioned it as like being very excited. This year, towards the end, it's just like I see why people hate playing it and for whatnot, because it is definitely the definition of a time sink. But I've committed
Hmm.
to it, and I gotta see it through. It's like Isaac, that's the stupidest thing you could have said, and it's like yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No, it's fair. Is there like a goal that you're working towards, or is it just? Yeah, I can't remember what the game was. I remember you explained it to me already, but so you don't need to explain it again. But
Well, it's a mobile game, but it's on console and PC, and you
hmm,
basically level up your characters. But the way you get your level up materials, and this is stuff that he can understand because it's in any video game. The way you get level up items, you only get a like daily amount, and then you have to go in the next day, and then the next day, so you can see why it's a time sink.
hmm,
Yeah, it's the wrong time in a video game. Whereas if you were playing like a JRPG, you could do this in like maybe 4 days max, and you could like maybe not 4 days max, excuse me, but at least within 4 weeks you could maybe play the entire game. Like I'm talking 7 days, so like 28 days fully. Yes, you could pretty much beat the
yeah.
game potentially. I mean that's a lot of hours, but yeah, I'm embarrassed. It's yeah, I'm a degenerate. I'm awful of that. I should probably. I've a problem, dependency issue. Let's put that like that.
Do you remember? Do you remember a while ago? Maybe it was 2 years ago or so, when I was stuck in a Call of Duty spiral,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I want to play other games, but these fucking games are so huge. They take up so much space on my hard drive, and I feel like anytime I want to get into a story game, I just start feeling that itch, wanting that addiction of the adrenaline spike of playing some of those games. And so I would just, yeah, it was a time sink for me, and I just kept wanting to delete it. It was like, oh man, why do I keep playing this? Why? But I can't stop playing it. So it sounds like maybe you're falling into a similar spiral.
Well, that's the thing with this because it was also I've kind of gotten angry at the games industry. I'm
Mm,
again, it's maybe childish. It's probably a childlike anger towards it. I'm angry at the direction that we're taking when it comes to visualization and photorealism. I'm very irritated with this idea of we're gonna try to get as photorealistic as we can, and that's it. And the reason I like Genshin is that it's cel shaded. Sure, it's anime characters. Sure, they're gorgeous and whatnot, and yeah, there might be that sensuality to it, but it's just like I love the look of it because like my eyes, oh my goodness, like there's no not that I care about Uncanny Valley, but it's just like wow, to actually like be playing this is really cool. Not to say that other games aren't like that. I'm just talking like the ones that are like photorealistic and the whole Sony thing. I mean, maybe I'm just a boy who cried wolf on this, but just like their whole spiel of having these first party titles and having their whole heads up their butts and having their games designed to be because their movie department is non-existent. They instead switch to cinematic games over like gameplay. The gameplay is very basic, but so is Genshin. So hey, there's nothing that appeals to everybody. I'm not for it. I'm mad. So I'm just mad at the games industry, at that. Even though again, there's indie games, so it's just like I've decided to not play a lot of, just pass on games, and you know what? I gotta accept that. I'm okay with that. It's what I want to play, and maybe I set these standards, and it's just like, dude, pleasures of the flesh, as you said.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah. It's your downtime. Do whatever makes you happy. I mean, we work to hopefully be able to afford to be comfortable. My free time, I myself put way too much pressure on never taking free time. I feel like my life is too busy to have free moments to do things. And so anytime I play video games, I feel just this terrible guilt, and I kick myself like, oh, you're playing a video game. That's like there's so many other things that you need to be doing. How could you spend, how could you spend 15 hours plowing through this game? And for whatever reason, I can spend 15 hours reading a book or watching a TV series and be like, okay, that maybe if it was a TV series, I kind of complain to myself, but if it's a video game, I just kick myself around. I don't know why that is. I think maybe when we were kids, adults drilled it into our heads too much that video games are a waste of time and it rots your brain. And I think that I still have that drilled into me. And so even though I recently bought an external hard drive, I downloaded all my games. So now I can finally like, oh, I've been wanting to play these games for years. I can finally do it. But after 2 or 3 hours, I start to be like, look at you sitting here wasting your time. I wish I could get over that. That makes me feel shitty. Because I love playing video games. Just why can't I let myself enjoy them?
Well, I guess one thing to maybe at least say something I did do. Well, I've been doing this for years, but I don't know if it's the most amount of ones I've seen this year. But we talked about musicals.
Yep, yep. No, that's definitely been. I'm looking forward to getting to more of that. Yeah, and I guess we did do, although it'll be coming out about a week or so. Yeah, I think about a week after we put out this episode. So a little bit of spoilers again for upcoming stuff. We finally got back to our Road to Star Wars series after 3 years. What a long time to have a series sitting on the back burner. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, there's that, but there's also something that I am at least proud of. That I guess it doesn't make myself feel good after the beating I just did of myself, but
Yeah.
at least one thing that I am at least proud of that we accomplished was we finally talked about, for your pleasure, on this New Year's Eve. We finally talked about the cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yes. It's taken us also 3 years, I think. And I'm very, very pleased that we finally got to do that. I think it turned out well. I'm looking forward for you to be able to hear it. I'm currently still editing it. But yeah, I think that was a lot of fun.
I put my effort into that one. That one I actually really really tried. Like I really wanted to do that one. So and I'm glad it came out of Avatar. Because
Hmm.
that was the thing that really I don't know, you'll hear me kind of say something similar. But I really am proud that I was able to. Again, it sounds selfish, but I'm just talking about myself because Caleb can speak for himself. But I'm at least happy that we did Avatar, so that I could grow and move past commentaries and just do discussions. And yeah, it turned out way better than what I would have. I don't even know what I would have come up with in 2020 or yeah.
Yeah, which by the way, I keep meaning to go back to see what that original episode was like for our New Year's of 2020. Yeah, I keep meaning to go back to that episode. Did you go back and listen to it? I remember you saying that you were curious too. Hmm.
No, no, no. Well, I say that, but I also may have forgotten.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, no, that was definitely fun. And yeah, I feel like in general, actually, I feel like we moved away from doing as many commentaries this year, just across the board. I think. I mean, I guess we do them with the ultraviolet A-rated basement stuff, but mostly everything else we've been doing has been just discussions.
So here's a bit that, I kind of, it's my, and I don't know if people are excited for this, but here's a bit that I sometimes bring up, but this time, well, maybe I should have said it before when I was down in the dumps of low self-esteem, is my faux pas, mea culpas. This time, I'm not, here to, run myself in the meat grinder because I think I just did that literally a few minutes ago. But this was literally for all intents and purposes when I wrote this was not to make myself feel bad. This is literally just to point out my mistakes and in a constructive criticism way, excuse me. So this these are the few mistakes that I thought I'd made in the podcast, out of ignorance or just forgotten research, or I literally just said it wrong. One thing I forgot to write, but I'll say it again. Anytime I say Gareth or mistaking Gareth Edwards and Evans. Well, it's just a running gag for us at this point. Um, I recently listened to our speakeasy regarding the serialization and episodic, and several times I mixed the words up. So on the very end, when it came to serialization, I meant episodic.
Oh, okay. That's
I'm sorry. I know you. I know you literally were confused in one of those instances. Like, wait, don't you mean episodic? And I'm like, you idiot. He did. Like listening to it again, it's like, oh, I don't know why I wasn't thinking that. It's like, oh, these were. I don't know why. So there's that. So those are those two. Scary Godmother.
Hmm.
There's a bit where when let's see, Vlad and his wife, I forget her name, the vampires, they're dancing, and I said like, oh, this would be great for Oscar and Morticia of the Addams Family to be, they would fit right at home in here. It's Gomez, not Oscar, you dolt.
Oh,
I don't know why I thought of Oscar. I guess I just meant like, Oscar Isaacs, who voiced him in that Addams Family movie from a few years ago.
by the way, as I was editing Scary Godmother, you kept correcting me because I kept screwing up the vampire's name. It was Max, right?
See, even I just made a faux pas. I thought it was Vlad for some reason, but he is Max. Ruby and Max, that's right.
Yeah, because you kept correcting me, and I kept being like, Max. What an odd name for this character. And then when I was doing, I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, it was when I went to go see the last Voyage of the Demeter. I started looking up Nosferatu, the new version, and the 20s version, and it clicked. I was like, oh, they called that character Max because the guy who played Nosferatu was named Max Schreck. So that's my new theory as to why they called that character that as a reference to Nosferatu.
Son of a
So I
gun.
just
Yep. I should have. Yep. Nope. Didn't put that together until now. That's the Ruby part is unless the I guess the what is it? Unless whatever his name is, Heckler or whatever his name was, the protagonist, unless his wife or his wife to be was Ruby or something like. I don't know where the Ruby connection comes from.
yeah, I can't remember for sure either.
This next one has not been released yet. It will be. Well, we did it this year, but it won't be released until I don't know when. But let me just say, I'm an idiot once again. In fact, this is having to do with our own, country's geography. I'll just state that Toronto does indeed have a port in it. That travel like an inland port. That travels to other cities along the Great Lakes. That is complete ignorance in me thinking that, ours is the only city next to maybe, the Maritimes that have ports. Now, here's another one from Fast and Furious 9. This is with Francis Ngannou's presence in the movie. And I had sent Caleb literally a visual description of what apparently happens when he uppercuts somebody. And I may have been wrong on the whole Alistair Overeem cut lip bits. That may or may, I haven't actually fact checked myself on this, so that's still ignorance. But I don't know if I was correct in that, Caleb. It may or may not have been Francis Ngannou who did that to him. You don't even know what I'm talking about, and you don't even care. But I'm just pointing out there. I could be incorrect
It's all
about
good.
that whole bit, so apologies in there, and I'll follow up with that one later on. This is another multiple one. I have to apologize. This is for when we did All Star Superman. Again, sorry. Apologies to Grant Morrison for mislabeling their pronouns. I kept saying every time I was listening to the All Star Superman reviews, I think we did the novel last year or was it this year? Either way, I apologize. I think I said he instead of they every now and then. So my mistake.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
My mistake. I apologize because sometimes I would say they, but then I would just casually just slip right back to he. So my apologies. Did not mean to offend anybody there, but it's gonna do that. Oh, this is another one. So I remember, I don't know if this has been in a speakeasy yet, or if this even got like released or recorded. But I remember Eric. Oh, I think no, it was released in a speakeasy. I don't remember which one it was. But Eric mentioned about, and he corrected himself on this one. But he mentioned that him, One Piece was huge this year for its live action Netflix series, and I made a joke saying like, "Oh, was it filmed in Vancouver?" And he's like, "I think so." And I was like, "Oh, hey, that's where they also filmed the Netflix Last Airbender." So it's like, "Oh, they're gonna show up in the episode with the pirates, right?" Um, no, it turns out like it was. He told me in that 3 hour discussion him and I, or 3 hour talk that him and I had after one of the speaky or one of the podcasts was it was actually in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
So it was all filmed there, and I was like, oh, so did the rappers from what is it? From Chappie show up? And that'd be cool if they did. But anyways, so yeah, that's a faux pas on my part. I thought it was Vancouver they filmed in, but it was actually South Africa. That's pretty cool. That's a thumbs up from me. Oh, and this one's just I can't believe I said this. So we did either Avatar or something recent actually. This one was just literally recent. And again, if there's any other ones that I made a faux pas and I just haven't listened to, so again, I can't just help but drink every time I say apologize. Um, but I mentioned Twilight Zone, and I said Rod Stewart. That's the singer, not the creators, Rod Sterling. So whoops.
These are getting to be some nitpicky apologies here. Come on, that's just a typo, a misspeak.
Well, but even still, I gotta like call myself off for it's like whoops. Okay, I acknowledge my faux pas mistake. I apologize. So
Well,
egg on the face. And hey, this is not out of like putting myself down or anything like that. This is like just like, oh, I gotta correct myself on this one.
see, for my mea culpa for this year, I noticed this on a lot of recordings, and actually, when I was going back to some of those early Bending the Elements, oh god, there was one episode that was so horrible for this. With me starting a recording drunk and slowly just descending into just horrible drunkenness on recording. So you could hear my voice. I slur words all the time, and I could barely edit it out because it was so prevalent. I noticed that a lot this year, and I was like, "Oh fuck, this is just getting embarrassing. I need to." And I think it's because I switched to drinking whiskey when we record instead of wine. I think I've just been getting more inebriated than usual, and I apologize for everybody having to endure that, listening to it and recording with me in that state. It was a hard year. It was a hard year. I needed some extra booze.
It's also still I still take the blame on that because I was the idiot and numbskull who said, "Oh, you should drink more on podcasts to see what happens."
Hey, it can be fun, and most of the time I'm okay, but every now and again you get that really bad one. I'm just gone. So I definitely apologize for that.
I never thought I'd say this, but again, this is spoilers for what everyone's gonna be listening to in the new year. But I can't believe I say this. I prefer the Uwe Boll House of the Dead over the sequel.
Oh yes, very much so. And we'll see that happen again in another series, where the Uwe Boll original is far superior to the horrible afterbirth that is the
Oh,
sequel.
oh boy.
So just wait.
Oh boy, many more to come. Hey, we continued the Underworld series. That was nice. And hey, another landmark for this guy. He finally showed me Phantasm.
Yes, and you mentioned as part of your final summations on the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, you brought up Phantasm. And when I was editing it the other day, I was so pleased by that. I was like, oh my god, look at that. How happy am I? That now Phantasm is part of your lexicon too. Because that movie definitely means a lot to me.
And I enjoyed it as well. I did enjoy that one as well. I have no interest in watching any of the sequels.
Aw, that's fair.
Just because you're like, kind of going a different direction. But another, I guess, egg on our face is, I guess, yeah, I should at least mention it. If there's okay, there's ongoing. There's a difference between ongoing and incomplete.
Yep.
Resident Evil doesn't count as incomplete because we're making our way through those with the sister series. Obviously, like I said, with Underworld, so we're gonna get to those.
Hopefully soon.
If there's one thing that we still have yet to do and finish, and we will, like curtain from like our curtain from behind or whatever, like we didn't record it anytime soon, even though it's obvious if you're looking at the release date or when we recorded this, it's like okay, sure, duh, suspension of disbelief. We have not yet finished the full cheese Gates of Hell trilogy.
Yeah, and the reason for that one being long delayed is the reason for many of our, or at least a couple of our video game series, yeah, being on hiatus currently. So we'll hopefully get to that. Yeah, if things ease up next year, we'll get some time for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess for anybody who's like, hey, where's the John Wick 2 review? You just answered your own question.
It's the same, yeah, under the same banner of, yeah, to be decided when that'll, yeah, happen.
Straight up, like, I don't want to like speculate or anything like that on my own like best friends like beliefs, but everybody kind of like probably at this point knows Johnny's personality. Maybe not, but you can get a sense of his personality. He's not one into the mainstream, so I'm not too sure what he's gonna think of the sequels. I have very like low expectations of him even going past three.
Well, I guess we'll see if we ever get around to, yeah, scheduling that. Yeah, but I guess that's an interest. I guess as we're kind of winding down, I feel like maybe we don't have too much more prepared for this. I did want to ask, knowing that you're big into music, was there any standout albums for you this year that you listened to?
Well, it's so funny you ask because once I got laid off, I stopped listening to music because I just literally like felt so low of myself. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to keep listening to music and albums as I do because I usually just did it at work. And you think like, oh, because you're laid off, oh, you have all this downtime.
Hmm.
I just felt like I was, I should have just canceled my title subscription because it was like it was costing me money. So it's like, ah, shoot. Um, this year I didn't really change my selection. I've in my like I guess was it configurated albums this year. They were largely a lot from last year because I just once I got laid off, I just felt you know I just couldn't do it. I don't like I'm just like not into it. But I will say at least again, gonna get him on next year. That's all I'm gonna say. I do want to give a big shout out to and really, I mean, I should also give this to you as well. I want to really like push and get out this album called Yule and Rings, which is by my other best friend Yule. He finally put out his first album, and I really want to like I want to do a something with that, but I really want to like push everybody to that one that was like unbiased like or biased review. Obviously, I think it's awesome, but honestly, like I think it's really good. Like I guess like it's not. I wouldn't say it's a demo. It's an actual album. But like as like a first attempt at an album, I think it's gonna go. He's gonna go places with it.
Yeah, Yule and Rings released this year. Produced,
Yep.
or the people who made it is titled Yule, Rings the producer. So yeah, you can check that out anywhere. Yeah, I've not listened to that yet. I remember that came out, and I just never got around to listening to it. But I'll definitely add it to my list here.
I think I would give a recommendation to another one, Soto, Voicey or Voci. I don't know how to say that, but that was by the artist Transit 22. He's also he's a guy out of Calgary, and I've been listening to his stuff for quite a long time, and I remember when on a bike ride with my bud around the city, and he just played that nonstop. He's a massive Transit fan, probably like his number one fan, honestly, because he's freaking awesome. It's like I love you for that, bud. And he blasted that thing like for the whole day, and it's still like even though I haven't listened to it since, it's still like embedded in my brain of like I'm going back to that album. I'm definitely gonna listen to that again. I definitely like the two tracks. I don't know if Foo Fighters have released their new album or did they? Is it right? Is this the one I'm thinking of? Oh, they did. I am definitely interested to listen to that one because this is the one post the drummer passing away. So it's like I'm definitely wondering, how it's gonna sound, and or like, if it's gonna be a little bit more melancholic, and if hopefully Dave's doing well
Mm,
for that. But yeah, I feel
yeah.
definitely kind of sad about that. But other than that, I think what is it? I think the two albums that stood out for me this year are what is it? This one's I think like blown up. It's everywhere now. This guy named Noah Khan. Have you heard of him?
Yep. Don't know his music, but I've heard the name.
He put out an album last year called Stick Season, and well, I first heard his like I guess two singles off the from the radio. I listened to the whole album. Oh man, I love the album. The album's really fun. He
Mm.
just was on SNL like a few weeks ago.
Oh, cool for
So
him.
I'm like, oh man, yeah. So recommend that album. That one was a lot of fun. And then there's this other one called Colony House. I don't know if you heard of that one. This was apparently this year they released it. This album. It's called the Cannonballers. Again, they're single, literally titled I think Cannonballers.
Oh,
Uh, tightest bass line or tightest like riff I've heard in a while. Like so tight. We're talking about a 40-year-old man who goes up to the attic, finds his pair of jeans that he wore in his graduating year of high school, puts them on, and he can't take them off. Like he can't move. He's stuck in place. Like everything's constricting. He can't like cuts off circulation. He literally like he doesn't even know what he can do. He can't move. He's immobile, and his kids have to come find him and cut the whole like pants off with scissors, and then afterwards he goes into the bathroom and cries in the shower for the whole evening.
oh man.
Like we're talking that tight of like a riff, and but the rest of the album, it's good that they get through that. Do that one like in the third track, but like the rest of it's fun. So definitely recommend listening to that. But I think Big Zed has a lot more recommendations than I will, so more of that to come.
Yeah, hopefully we can get him on for another Speakeasy episode to discuss some music sometime soon. That'd be great.
Yes, very much so.
But I only got about 15 minutes left before I gotta jump off here. So there's a couple things I wanted to mention before we come to a close. So there's a few things I feel like I accomplished this year that I guess I'll give myself a half pat on the back, half not. One of them is I've finally begun again after many years to attempt to quit smoking. And it's funny when you're so used to feeling a way that you don't even realize that you feel the way that you feel. Where when I stopped smoking, when I was smoking, I felt like I was just like normal. That's just the way I exist. When I quit, I realized like, wow, I don't feel so sluggish anymore. My breathing feels so much more easy. I don't feel like I have a headache as often as I did before. And it was just cutting out the 2 or 3 cigarettes a day. I was like, wow, that I didn't realize how much that was actually affecting me daily. Just this negative pressure on me. So it's been nice to, mostly having quit. I still, I'm on the Nicorette gum, and every now and again, I just can't help the need for that cigarette. It's too good, even though it does do that to me. I still love it in its way. And another thing that I should feel more positive about is I did finish a fourth novel this year, but unfortunately I finished it in like April. Or maybe it was February. I took off January as a rehab month to focus on writing. And even though I finished that book, I haven't touched it since. I haven't done a single bit of editing all year post that. So I feel pretty guilty about that. And I also picked up Duolingo, and I'm learning Spanish again. After many years I used to be able to speak Spanish okay. Yeah, so it's been nice coming back to it and seeing how much I've retained, but that's been feeling pretty good too. So at least there's a couple things this year that I feel like I've been doing okay on, because yeah, this year I've also had some job issues and a lot of stuff that's been really heavy on me. So it's nice to have a couple positives at least.
I mean, it helps that you regularly are a snowbird and sometimes, or summer bird, I don't know, where you oftentimes migrate down to Mexico for that vacation once a year.
Yeah, which I'm finally doing again. Yeah, next on February. So that'll be nice after a long break. 2020 was the last time I went on vacation to Mexico. So,
Oh,
oh, is there any other final notes for you that you feel like you want to get out for this year?
in a positive. With my loss of work, which I deserved, I fully admit, like that was my fault. I got what was coming to me. I lost motivation to hit the gym, as in like lifting iron, and literally, unless it was like once over for martial arts training, I have yet to not even go back to lift weights once. That is how low my self esteem is, and that it just gives me, I don't know, it just gives me, I have some demons, I guess, and I have some trauma there that's, I guess, just I haven't yet closed yet. But this year I really made an attempt to go out of school of my gym setting, martial arts gym setting, and actually put my skills to the test. That is the biggest. That's one of the things. Is like it is a search. Martial arts is the search for the truth, as some people say, where you're testing your abilities against somebody else, and
Hmm.
whether it was because I feel like a useless piece of junk, I'm like, I gotta at least try. And even though I did sign up for an out of school bout, as I call it, it's not a tournament. Tournaments where it's brackets, and like the original UFC one. It's not that, because that was open weight. This is clearly just like one match.
Hmm.
That's it. It's like, okay. I almost did get into it, but unfortunately, the promotion had to cancel the whole bout, the whole card itself. So
Oh, damn. I didn't hear about that.
I
Hmm.
thought I'd mentioned that to you, but either way, like, yeah, it would have happened in November, but it didn't, and maybe it was for the best. But I was definitely, let me say, I definitely feel like I've improved there, and I'm kind of happy. I'm definitely happy with how my martial arts journey
Yeah.
has happened this year. I'm a little bit more happy to go to the gym now. I'm not unhappy, but there are definitely days where it's just like, oh man, I gotta fight my friends, and they're better than I am. So it's like I don't feel like it. So it's like, hey, that's the thing, man. It's uncomfortable, and obviously we don't want CTE, but that's just how the way goes. So at least in that sense, I feel reinvigorated for our martial arts journey, and so I definitely go on another year and continuing to, yeah, just fight because I like it.
Hey, I love it. I love to hear it. Yeah, maybe next year you'll get your match in a card sometime soon.
I mean, it'll be just amateur, but definitely to search for the truth and actually put my money where my mouth is. To actually attempt it, like just why not?
Yeah.
So I could have gone into all the episodes that I didn't watch beforehand, because there were still plenty that I've got time that did, but
Oh no, not again.
I'm good. Let's end it where it is right now. Kind of
Yeah.
mixed, but really, like when I came into this, it was gonna be a lot more positive and end the year on a note for me personally of like, you know what, it was definitely rough this year for me. I mean, I shouldn't say, I will not speak for anybody else. It probably has been living hell, living each day, and again, Gregorian calendar. This whole celebratory aspect.
Yeah, this is every year. Every year we think we're going to have a more positive New Year's special, but it always turns into depressing places.
But at the same time, like, oh, this is true. But at the same time, literally, I am trying to come out a little bit more optimistic, and yeah, I do feel, yeah, like things have improved for me. So I'm happy.
Hey, I love it. I'm always happy to hear that, and thank you once again, Isaac, for another year in podcasting. I've had a ton of fun with you. I think that yeah, every year this is a positive part of my life doing this with you here. So I'm very happy to continue into 2024.
I'm just waiting for you to finally get fed up with my shenanigans and just being like, oh, this guy. But yeah, no, every year, man, it's at least a good thing to get things off our chest, and we didn't talk about everything.
Yeah.
But at least everything that we can remember, and hopefully, hey, we recently remembered up to January. So, um, happy Gregorian New Year, everybody. It's not over yet for if you're going by the New Year, excuse me, or the lunar year, excuse me. That'll be happening back in February. So, yeah, yeah, thank you, Caleb, for again 2023, and until next time, everybody, peace.